This is Sister Anna Jacob. She's 100 years old and she's older than the medical school. She was born in 1914 and came to CMC in our first batch of diploma nursing. And she later became the first Indian nursing superintendent of our hospital.
First day, Miss Vera Pittman, who was the English tutor for nursing, she came and met. We were 9 students who had come from various places, 5 from Kerala and 2 from Medak, and 1 from Mysore, and 1, I think, from Madras Presidency. And we were 9 altogether, and the first batch. And Miss Vera Pittman, who was an English nursing tutor, occupied the corner room of the new hostel. The medical students were shifted to the college site, and we were the first ones to occupy the hostel. And the first day, Miss Vera Pittman took us to the rooms, showed us where we are going to stay, and introduced us to the matron who was in charge of the hostel, and took us around the hostel and showed us. And we were allowed to stay in the rooms and arrange our books and various things in the rooms. We were 3 in a room. Then we talked to each other, and we felt at home there. That was the first day. Because I studied in a residential school in Kerala. So, and there were English tutors there. We were all just like one family, about 150 people, students and staff. We were all together. So it was not a new experience. I think about 150 or 180, I just don't remember exactly. But there was 1 medical ward, 1 surgical ward, 1 children's ward, and 2 maternity wards, 1 for clean maternity, 1 for septic, and that was all. Well, no, it was 3 years general nursing, and then 6 years, 1 year of midwifery. So we had 4 years altogether. Well, while I was studying in Nicholson Syrian Girls' School, which was our church, Marthoma Church residential school, Miss Pittman, Vera Pittman, the English tutor, came to school one weekend and spoke to us. I was in 6th form at that time. And 6th and 5th forms together, Miss Vera Pittman spoke, and she said, the condition in India. Then she spoke about Florence Nightingale and the Crimean War and what she did. And she said, India needs people. India needs Florence Nightingales because they are looked after by widows, people who have no money, who have no brains to study. But we want people to come forward and change that pattern. And I took it as a challenge. But I had been praying, some of us in my class together, show us the future, what we should do. But when this came, I felt that is where I should go. Dr. Scudder, we had heard, but not so. A lot of people said, why do you want to go for nursing? Why not go for LMB? It was at that time LMB school. And I said, no, I want to go to nursing school. Oh, she was like a mother. I remember her in her blue dress and her blue eyes, and the young, pretty doctor came and welcomed us when we first went to the hospital. And she was so happy. And she said, well, I'm sure we all will work together and build God's kingdom. She was first like a mother to us. Then later on, when I was a staff nurse, she was more like an older sister to me. And later on, we were very good friends. And till the last day, she was in Vellore. I used to visit her. And she will make me sit on her bed and talk about the hospital. And she was so happy when I came back after my studies. She said she had more or less given up most of her surgery and all. But she was still going to the ward, seeing patients when I returned after my studies abroad. But then we were good friends.
And you could talk about anything?
And every Christmas she used to send me a gift. And when she comes, she'll say, Anna, I want to get old blankets and clothes. There are a lot of poor people in Kodaikanal, and I want to take. So you help me to collect those. Very, very special. And she used to take once a week our morning prayers. And she always read Corinthians 13th chapter. She walked along and everyone she met, she'll say, good morning, and she will go to the ward. And we were not as doctor and nurse, but we were as part of the family. That was the way. And Christmas, we all gathered together. from college, they came to hospital, and the hospital staff, class 4 workers, everybody together in that courtyard. We had our Christmas programs all together. She taught me several things. One thing which was obvious was her humility. The way she would come to meetings after she retired, but she wouldn't say a word, she would listen. Usually people who have had a lot of experience will start talking, but she kept quiet. And then her way of dealing with people, her longing to help the others. We used to go for a roadside clinic with her. And the patients under the trees, they'll gather together and we will take our dressing trays and we will give injections, all that. But then we sit together and have our meals together. And she would never think of student and doctor or anything. We are all part of the family.
I just wanted to ask you if you remember December 9th, 1932, the day the medical school buildings in Bagaim were inaugurated?
I have a vain idea because I didn't stay there.
Right.
I just went for a short time and we came back because we were looking after patients in the ward. We went by bus, ambulance, not
Right.
bus. There was no bus at that time, only two ambulances. So we went by that and we saw the buildings, the chapel and all that, and then we returned.
Can I ask you if your dedication to CMC, has that been your true life?
Yes. It's somehow or other I felt that is where I am needed. God wants me to be here. So after studies, I stayed on as a staff nurse. Then we had postgraduate studies here. And then after that, I was promoted as a sister. And then when our nursing superintendent died while she was on duty, Miss Pittman, who was a born teacher, she didn't want to take administration. And Florence Taylor, who was a born administrator for colleges, she didn't want to take a nursing superintendent's place. But Veera Pittman had to act because there was no one else. Then they called me and asked, will you be willing to go study, come back as nursing superintendent? And I said, I will pray about it, I'll think about it, I'll give you an answer after a few days. But then I felt it was my duty to help. So I told them yes. Then they planned to send me to WCC, Women's Christian College, for a year because I had no touch with any learning after I was a staff nurse here. So to brush up the learning process, they sent me to WCC for 1 year. That was in 1946. So WCC, I am the oldest one there. Then I went. They had made all arrangements for me to go to McGill University in Montreal, Canada. I went there, studied for 2 years, came back and took over from Miss Vera Pittman, who was acting nursing superintendent.
So you followed in the footsteps of Sister Delia Houghton.
Yes. But Vera Pittman was on furlough when I was returning, and she lived in Bournemouth. So when I returned, she asked me to stop in England, and I was there 2 weeks with her. So she took me around and showed many of the large institutions, hospitals, training schools, which was a very helpful introduction. Well, I never thought about it. There were a lot of offers. In USA, they called me. They said, why don't you come and join our staff? Canadian hospitals called me. Said, now that you have finished, why don't you join us? But nothing would stop me. I said, I feel I should go back to Vellore, to CMC, and that's where I started, and that's where I like to continue. And nothing would stop me. Even Indian government asked me if I would go as their representative to Nigeria or somewhere. And I said, nothing doing.